Okay.
Yeah.
That goes
6
with it.
o'clock.
Mike's on.
I now call the October 5th, 2021 Board of Commissioners meeting to order. We'll have roll call by our clerk, Donna Lackey.
Yes, Chairman Martin,
Here.
Commissioner McClendon, Commissioner Chance,
Here.
Commissioner Lee,
Here.
Commissioner Fuller,
Here.
Commissioner Reynolds,
Here.
and Commissioner Chambers.
Here.
Could you turn your microphone on and make sure you move down to where we could hear you?
I did it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm now going to ask Chief Tim Padgett to come forward and lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation. Oh, I'm sorry. Invocation first. I just did it backwards. I guess we could. Well, never mind.
That was a drill.
Let us pray, please. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, as we come to you tonight, Lord, we thank you for your many blessings. We thank you, Lord, for the rain that we've received, Lord. Just please keep us safe, Lord, be in this meeting tonight as we try to move the business of Carroll County forward. Lead, guide, and direct us in everything we say and we do. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
If y'all would stand for the pledge, please. All together, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It was actually very refreshing to see everybody immediately stand when we said the word Pledge of Allegiance, so thank you. At this time, I'll ask for a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed?
6-0.
You each have had time to review the August 31st special called minute meetings, the August 31st executive session minutes, the September 2nd work session minutes, and the September 7th commission meeting minutes. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve items 6.1 through 6.4.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed?
6-0 approved.
We'll now move into public comments. Public comments are just that, an opportunity for the public to address the commission with any issues or concerns they may have. All remarks shall be directed to the chairman and not to individual commissioners, staff, or citizens in attendance. Members of the public shall not make inappropriate or offensive comments. Any individual who violates the rules of decorum may be removed from the meeting. At this time, the board will not comment, nor will the board take any action on the comments. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. There was a sign-up sheet in back. I'll take those comments first, and if anybody else wishes to speak afterwards, I'll give you time for that. So our attorney will be timing you. Diane's going to, okay, so Diane's going to be timing you, so you'll hear a chime, so you'll know that your time is up. All right, the first person on the list, Tom Perkins.
I had prepared some remarks, which I gave you, but I see I have to skip through them faster because I don't have enough time. I'm here to ask for a closing of the loophole in breaking down agricultural land. I'm asking for a moratorium on any zoning of ag land for other use. This is a county that wants to keep our ag land intact. In fact, under an Ag Conservation Act, which I'm a part of, the county actually rewards holders of 20 acres of land a tax break so we won't split up our farms. The county has a long history of wanting to keep its farms intact and all the quality of life and income from those farms. In agreeing to what I call a workaround of the existing laws and covenants of our community, this is what's happening. We already have existing laws to deal with zoning, and we should be going by the spirit of those laws and what they're intended to be. And if someone finds a loophole in our laws, which happens with those finding a workaround, the established rules, the courts and citizens which approve those laws have a responsibility to intervene and stop whatever action that person or persons are trying to do in order to go around existing laws or regulations. We demand a moratorium and a board to close any future loopholes. What is planned? A subdivision, need more road in Highway 5. If you allow these workaround rules, you are setting a future precedent that the people of Carroll County do not want. For the few, for the riches of development, you're straddling existing taxpayers the debt of all the improvements, roads, utilities, water, sewer, schools, etc. it will take to bring these into being. By letting these workarounds and by passing the county planning officers and normal subdivision rules. To me, it's a moral issue. This workaround is merely a way for a few to cheat the process of the county and thus make themselves richer, to cheat and win over the voices of the residents of the county. And who's the winner here? The developer. Who's the loser? The people of Carroll County. Which means, is it okay to cheat the system and put the cost on the people and to work around the laws? Do you want Highway 5 and the other county roads of our county be clogged with traffic from hundreds of track houses? Travel up Highway 92 from Douglasville to 120. It's subdivision after subdivision and a mass of clogged traffic. People move here to get away from that. Our quality of life is in peril. The court must decide, by allowing someone to cheat our system, to betray the spirit of the laws and existing ordinance, and have to live with that knowledge, you sold out the people of Carroll
Time's
County.
up, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. Rob Irvin.
Robert Irvin, 899 Burwell Road, Carrollton. I've come here tonight to just encourage this body to plan and strategize for smart growth, what I call smart growth in this county. I've seen a huge increase in traffic throughout the town of Carrollton and all the surrounding areas in the county in the last 3 to 5 years. And I'm very concerned as a former farmer. The protection of farmland and agricultural land in this county is very, very important to me. And I also agree with Mr. Perkins. I do not want to see a whole bunch of subdivisions popping up all over the county haphazardly and randomly just because there's land for sale. I want to see the integrity of our agricultural land kept intact and our environment and our green space. And I want to encourage this body to do everything it can to keep the integrity of this county intact and to prevent that kind of haphazard growth. Thank you.
Thank you. James Corswan, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but when you come forward, if you'll pronounce it for us and state your address too, please.
Do you need this? My name is James Corzin. I live at 60 Holand Trail. I've served as a paramedic in the state of Georgia for about 7 years now. I'm coming to you tonight to speak to you about the fact that EMS funding in this county is inadequate. 1 in every 5 citizens over the course of the next year will require an ambulance at some point. We currently pay $1.13 million to West Georgia Ambulance to subsidize the cost of ambulances. What that gets us is 6 ambulances, where a single ambulance to show up will cost you $1,000 to $1,200 and an additional $14 per mile. If you have to go into the city of Atlanta, this means that an ambulance bill can cost you up to $2,250. That's more than even the EMTs make in a single check. Okay? We also don't have enough ambulances in this county. We're coming up on just under 24,000 calls for EMS alone that we're running with 6 ambulances. The recommendation is that we should have 1 ambulance for every 10,000 population. We have a population of 110,000 in this county. That means that at minimum we should have 10 ambulances, if not 11. If we were to fully subsidize West Georgia Ambulance to where they do not have to charge for 911 services, that would cost us $30 million. That sounds like a lot of money, but that breaks down to $20 per taxpayer or $60 per household once a month. That is not too much of a price to pay for the safety of my family and my friends. I'm willing to pay that money. The rest is up to you.
Jeff May?
My name is Jeff May, and I live at 1610 Old Noonan Road here in Carrollton, Georgia. My purpose here tonight is to speak in support of the proposed land development between Needmore-Attaway Roads off Highway 5. My son and granddaughter do not want to live in a subdivision anymore. They want to live in the country, but he can't afford 50 or 100 acres, but he can afford the 8 to 10 acres that he is about to buy from this landowner now. What concerns me the most is the misinformation about this land that has been put out as truth. A friend called me and told me he heard that the land was being turned into a trailer park. Another friend stated he heard from a Facebook group that it was going to be developed into 100-plus home subdivision. I believe neither of these speculations are true. This landowner had a similar piece of property a few years ago on Spence and Hog Liver Road. It met with a lot of opposition then, as the property has now. That piece of land was 400 acres, and after it all sold, there were 26 parcels total, and all 26 are still agricultural. In closing, I would ask the Board of Commissioners to consider the citizens of this county that want a home in the country with trees and creeks and small pastures that cannot afford a large parcel of land. My son and granddaughter have picked out a beautiful 8 to 10 acre tract on which they plan to build their forever home. Other citizens in Carroll County should have the same opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Jean May?
Hi, this is my first time here, so ignore the nerves.
It's okay.
I was wanting for someone to address the possibility of your deed being stolen, which I've looked into it. I talked to a lady at the county office, and she said there wasn't anything preventing it, an email from coming in that wasn't a real person. I watched a guy on TV laughing because he did it for 10 years and said he even used the name of the tycoon on Simpsons, and nobody caught that because nobody's looking at them. I think we should find some way to lock our deed. They're starting to call it a title. It's really a deed. Maybe we should go down there with our, what do you call it, our identification so I can see who we are, and just put a lock on it. Don't change it, nothing, no emails. Just put a lock on it to where somebody can't float a piece of paper in there and act like they've quitclaimed it and then sell it and be done in 60 days and you get an eviction notice. So any suggestions would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Keith Knowles?
My name is Keith Knowles. I live at 152 Open Skyway in Billerica, Georgia. Later this evening, you'll recognize some newly certified firefighters. Will you promise them equal employment opportunity? Or will you keep allowing the do as I say, not as I do culture to exist? Will you promise them adequate training? Or will double standards still reign? Will you promise them that autonomy will be their future? Or will you continue to allow targets to be placed on their back when these firefighters speak out? Will you promise them you will listen to their needs, their concerns, and possible solutions? Or will you continue to waste tax dollars, by certifying these firefighters to allow them to go to other agencies? Last month, I stated a handful of firemen were ready to leave this department. Carroll County lost 4 firefighters in the last month, and there are more to follow. So why will you not focus on the retention issue? A group of former and current firefighters offered to meet with you on multiple occasions as a group to give you their reasons why they left and possible solutions to keep firemen around. Why did you never take them up on their offer? Thank you.
Seth Holland.
Hello, I'm Seth Holland, I live at 1460 Old Noonan Road. I just want to go ahead and say congratulations to all these guys over here. Super proud of them. A couple of them in particular I had a hand in. We're just waiting for the changes to come that were promised by you and by other members of the board and the administration of the current department. And just want to let you know that we're still waiting on that reply back for our meeting, and we're looking forward to having that so we can get this department back where it needs to be. Thank you.
Thanks. Rhett Harmon.
Rhett Harmon, 198 Bohannon Road, Carrollton, Georgia. Curtis North, my business partner with Century 21, was not allowed or was not able to be here. His father's battling some heart stuff, so he's with him. So I did want to come here on his behalf to mention we do have a client that we represent from our firm that is that owns that 587-acre tract of land in Tyus. I think some refer to as Needmore Road. I'm not sure the exact address on it. As the 3 or 4 roads that come there together. It's just, it's baffling that where the rumors have come with this. There's a petition going around. It's just not accurate information. It started from, mentioned 100-acre mobile homes. Now it's turned into a 100-acre residential subdivision. That's not the case. It never has been the issue, and no one's reached out to the client or to us to find out if that really is what's going to take place or what's not going to take place. The current, what was being proposed, there's actually 5 tracts that are currently for sale. That's all. These tracts are anywhere from there's a 4-acre, a 4.5, a 12-acre, a 25-acre, and a 52-acre tract. All are subject to county review. None of these have been parceled out yet. And approval. All are subject to deed restrictions placed by the owner at a minimum of 1,800 square foot house, 1 per lot. And restrictions for the current owners, to be placed on this property it will remain agricultural, not residential. Look, I'm a big supporter of agriculture. So is Curtis. We both live on some land, but not everyone can afford to farm and be a sustainable scenario for what takes place now in 2021. Big advocate for agriculture. But agriculture means a lot of things to different people at different sizes. So a 4-acre tract of land from someone that never had that opportunity, that grew up maybe in an apartment, that lived here their whole life, now they want to own a small piece of land in a house, that can mean the world to them. That's sustainable agriculture, or it could be. I've heard people get up here and argue about different things and bring different things up. They own small tracts of land as well. So it's a lot of different opportunities that could come about, and it has to come down to what is actually affordable, what makes sense, and what is going to actually sustain agriculture. None of us are here on the 5,000-acre original, tracts of agriculture when Carroll County was established as a cotton farming, community. Those have all been broken up over the years for different reasons, and we've got to keep up with the times, keep up with the future, but we got to preserve what the agricultural heritage of our community. And one way of doing that is keeping agricultural. There are ag zoning guidelines in place. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows that there's a lot of false information that's going around. If they want to know more about it, please reach out to the source, ask. That's how we do research. Too often we assume, and there's too much negative information being pushed around, and I'm not sure what the reasons for that is. Maybe it's just misunderstandings. I don't know, but there's never been a 100-acre.
Time's up.
Thank you.
Bill Hodge.
I appreciate the opportunity to again address the board on the county's land use issues. I thank you again for tabling the subdivision ordinance amendment at the last commission meeting. In thinking of what I was going to say this evening, I was reminded of the Future Growth Strategies Conference that was held several years back at the Cultural Arts Center right down the street. Maybe some of you were there. The opening speaker began by saying, "It is great to be in Charlantingham this morning." He then paused with the crowd to think about what he just said. It sunk in after a few seconds, and everyone realized he was challenging us to look into the not-so-distant future and realize the corridor between Charlotte, Atlanta, and Birmingham is under ever-growing development pressure. And if we don't get our house in order with smart growth strategies, all of the unique qualities that make Carroll County such a special place will be gone. Contrary to widely held belief, there will be generations of Carroll Countyans after us that will be greatly affected by the decisions we make today. You are the county's elected decision makers, and you have at your disposal numerous resources that will enable you to look into the crystal ball and make decisions that are fair and equitable for all segments of the county. We've previously mentioned the value of cost of community services studies, where the different county land uses are quantified in terms of tax revenue generated and what it costs the county to service those land uses. The county's most recent study was done in 2002. Dr. Jeffrey Dorfman with the University of Georgia conducted that study and has since been appointed by the governor as the state physical economist and no longer does studies. He did, however, tell me yesterday if Carroll County wanted an updated study, since he'd done the first one, he'd do another one for us. It would be the summer or fall of 2022 before he could begin. Several of you have expressed interest in having this financial information to help the board with their planning. Please consider this. I encourage you going forward to take a proactive approach addressing future land growth strategies. Let's bring together the ag community, realtors, developers, cyclists, city leadership, and other interested people around the table and begin to define what a future Carroll County is going to look like. Thank you.
David and Nancy Fisher.
Yes, I am David and Nancy Fisher, right here, alive and in person. Thank you for letting me speak. I don't really know all of the history of Carroll County. We moved here 2.5 years ago. We moved from a subdivision to the country. We have a little 6-acre tract of land, which I think that I gave you all a little map of that. We're surrounded by farmland, and we love it. We have goats, we have chickens, we have ducks, we have a garden, kind of crazy. We have a freezer full of all of our summer's crops. Our concern with the rezoning that is happening right next door to us is that it will fall under that loophole that the first speaker tonight mentioned, and that not only will he petition for a 1-acre tract, but then he will continue to petition for all of the 25 acres to be another 1-acre tract, another 1-acre tract, another 1-acre tract. We've moved to kind of our dream home. We've come back to the country. We've come back to what we really love. It's very elemental and very visceral, and that's our concern, that the petition that is before you all would not stop at a 1-acre tract with a small house on it, but that it would go on to many 1-acre tracts. So that's our concern, and we really would request that would be denied At the last week's meeting with the Planning Commission,
Ma'am, excuse me, are you here
Yes.
to talk about a specific zoning application?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, this is not the time for that. We have a public hearing later. This is for general public comments, not about a rezoning matter on the agenda. So sorry.
Okay, well, it's okay. I'll be back, I suppose.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
okay, all
Sorry.
right, forgive me, I'm so sorry. Thank you.
I should. Thank you. Okay. Anthony Durcole. There again, I apologize. It's y'all's handwriting. If you could state your name and address for us, please.
My name is Tony Durcole. I live at 57 Old Ward Road. I just do want to address the growth in the county. Across the street from me, a few years ago, there was a 100-acre tract that was for sale. Developer bought it. He cut it up into agricultural-sized lots, and now all those lots are being developed with homes. So the culture of Carroll County is very unique. And I've been a landowner here for almost 30 years. And in that 30 years, I've seen a pretty dramatic change. And I would just request that we give that some consideration. Now, if there's a farmer or a landowner who has a large tract of land who wants to subdivide it for their children or their grandchildren, I understand that completely. But for someone to come in, purchase a piece of property, and then cut it up into small sections, it's not going to help the character of Carroll County. Thank you.
Okay, Nancy, I have you here on here twice, so I'll make sure it's the same address.
That was my husband that signed us.
Okay.
I didn't know.
I've been there, just want to make sure. So, all right. Next we have Jerry Latimer.
I'm here, but I'm speaking about
For something else, okay. All right. Next I have Mike Donaldson. Donald Holder, I'm sorry.
We're here,
Okay, that's all right. That's what we're doing. We're double checking it. Okay, Ken and Sue Askin. So y'all all three were here on a planning and zoning that's happening later. Okay, so I'll make sure I give you the opportunity. Johnny Blankenship, I do think you're planning zone too. Okay. Now that's okay. That's all right. So at this time, I don't have anybody else on the list. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak that is non-planning and zoning? The cases that are coming up. Okay, if you'll just come forward and then you'll be second. If you'll state your name and address, please.
My name is Crystal Zanevsky, 1333 Needmore Road. I scratched myself out, but decided I wanted to talk anyways. We're connected to the land that's being developed, and as landowners, we had no idea. They've not come to talk to us. What we've seen is them running over the watershed and cutting down all the old growth trees and kind of taking away from our view of what it could be, because it's gone from our old growth looking out into old growth to our old growth looking into baby pines and ragweed. And I just want to make sure that, I'm a little nervous, sorry. I just want to make sure that if they're going to move forward with turning it into houses, which they have every right to do and we support that they do it in a way that maintains the value of the land. Not just adding a home, because it is important for families to be able to go in and own some acreage. That's what we did, and we love it, but not run over the watersheds that connect into the main waterways of our county. Not go in there and cut down some of the biggest trees that we've seen and let pines grow up. You know, if they want to turn it into houses, let those houses have trees. Let those houses be a good number of houses, not 5 in 1 acre, 4 acres, however they're doing it. And also maybe talk to the people that live around there. We had no idea that that's what they were doing. Nobody's come to us, as we are literally connected to that plant, that development. And we've not heard from anyone saying, like, how would this affect you and how would that make you feel? So, to attach to what Bill Hodge says, like, talk to the community and bring them to the table and let us have a say and not just let it change for better or worse, and we just have to accept it, because that's what, as landowners, we feel like we have to do. That's why I kind of took my name off the list, because I was like, I don't really know anything about it to be able to talk on it. But I do see what's happening back there, and it doesn't feel good to watch them change the land without really consideration for what the land could be if we left it and protected it more, even with the development, developing it smart. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Look at the gentleman in the back.
Hey, Miss Michelle, board, how are you guys? I'm Scott Butcher, I live at 24 Pine Court. I just want to come up and kind of take a minute. I'm sure you guys have already heard a little bit about thoughts about what the local fire department is doing in the community here. I served for Carroll County Fire for 12 years. I've been out of the department now about almost 4 years. Care a lot about that community, a lot about that, about what's going on over there. Some of you may or may not be aware. Over the last decade or so, they've gone through 3 different fire chiefs, with you guys being in the process now to hire the 4th one over the last 10 or 11 years. A couple of opinions that at the end of the day are just opinions, and then a couple of facts. A couple of opinions that I have. I'm glad that you guys are looking for a new fire chief. I hope that you guys are taking that pretty seriously, because, again, in an opinion, the last 3 fire chiefs that you have had have failed you left and right, as long as failed all of these citizens. At the end of the day, every one of these gentlemen over here in a blue shirt is an absolute hero for what they do day in and day out on that job. I know, because I did it along with a couple other guys in this crew. Where facts come into play is the fact that I stepped into one of your fire stations 3 weeks ago, me and another former firefighter. Through us walking through that fire department and just meeting with those guys and sharing some breakfast with a couple of those firefighters, we got an opportunity to kind of look at some of the conditions in the station. One of the things that concerns me is the fact that that particular fire truck had 7 sections of supply line. That's our 5-inch hose that goes on the back. That truck can hold a little over 2,000 feet. It had what I believe is less than 700 feet through the 7 sections, because those sections get cut over time and trimmed down. Had 7 sections of hose. When you go out in some of these rural places, a plug, a fire hydrant, to get up a driveway, think about how many of these houses are that far up off and where a hydrant is at. That truck's not going to be able to get a supply line to that. It's going to wait on another truck, which is another 10, 15 minutes. And if you guys have studied any kind of building construction or building fire, that 10 or 15 minutes can be the difference of total loss or life and death, even worse, right? The flip side of that, not only was that hose not there, but going through their medical kit, their AEDs were out of date. Their blood glucose was oral glucose was out of date. These are real issues that we have. Those are just things that you can put an actual date on and look and see an expiration. The other side of that, which is a major problem, is the training in this department. Your training chief has failed you and has been failing you for the last decade. I hope that your new fire chief comes in and acknowledges that and fixes that problem. But it's something that all of you guys need to pay attention to. I'm not sure who's on the board and who's looking at that, but Michelle, it's all going to be, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to land at your feet, right? That's something that I hope you understand, that you got citizens that are watching and paying attention and hoping that you're the leader that you promised everyone you were going to be when you ran. The fire department's got a lot of problems, and these guys are not making a lot of money, and it's easy to sit up here and say, oh, well, they need more money, they need more of this. They need leadership. Don't get me wrong, more money helps, but I promise you, they need leadership.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, heroes in blue, because you're heroes.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak? Is there anyone else who'd like to speak during the public comments? I'll ask a second time. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak during the public comments? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will now move into our special presentation. I'm going to ask our Carroll County Fire Rescue graduates to come forward and the Board of Commissioners to join me.
list.
Here you go. Put the microphone in front of you.
Austin Bivens. Bradley Bender. Taylor Swint. Brady Rogers. Hunter Beck Jordan. Jake Jackson. Spencer Merrill.
Don't be messing with my podium.
Thank you, bud.
Sorry. We now have a second special presentation. I'm going to direct you to our screen back behind us.
Hello, I'm Sheriff Terry Langford, the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, and we are delighted once more to participate in the Red Ribbon Week in October. We've been doing it for several decades. We appreciate all the people that put it together to educate our young people on the dangers of drugs. We appreciate our school officers who work every day to build a relationship with our kids so that they would perhaps make good choices concerning drugs. And we appreciate all the enforcement officers K-9 units that go out and search for drugs and prosecute those that will sell illegal drugs. And so we're just happy again to participate, and make our community safer and more drug-free.
Hello, I'm Deputy Carroll with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, and it is my pleasure to serve as the School Resource Officer at Bay Springs Middle School. I'm excited to tell you about Red Ribbon Week and introduce you to our K-9 team that play a major role in keeping our schools and community safe in the fight against drugs. What is Red Ribbon Week, you ask? Red Ribbon Week is an awareness campaign that gives information to the general public about the dangers of drug use and will be celebrated from October 23rd through the 31st, and is the nation's oldest and largest drug prevention awareness program. We celebrate Red Ribbon Week to affirm commitment to live drug-free and to educate the students of the dangers involved in drug usage. The Carroll County Sheriff's Office is committed to work alongside our partner schools to assist in the prevention education on the fight against drugs. Now come with me and let's watch our canines demonstrate how they search for drugs and apprehend suspects.
Sheriff's Office K-9, get on the ground. I'll send a dog. You will be bit. Sheriff's Office K-9, stop running. I'll send a dog. You will be bit. Your last warning. Sheriff's Office K-9, get on the ground. Get it.
Red Ribbon Week is going to be today, October 5th, 2021. I have a proclamation for Red Ribbon Week. Whereas communities across America have been plagued by numerous problems associated with illicit drug use and those that traffic them, and whereas there is hope in winning the war on drugs, and that hope lies in education and drug demand reduction, coupled with the hard work and determination of organizations such as the Young Marines of the Marine Corps League to foster a healthy, drug-free lifestyle, and whereas governments and community leaders know that citizen support is one of the most effective tools in the effort to reduce the use of illicit drugs in our communities, and whereas the red ribbon has been chosen as a symbol commemorating the work of Enrique Kiki Camarena, a Drug Enforcement Administration agent who was murdered in the line of duty, and represents the belief that one person can make a difference. And whereas the Red Ribbon Campaign was established by Congress in 1988 to encourage a drug-free lifestyle and involvement in drug prevention and reduction efforts, and whereas October 23rd through the 31st has been designated as National Red Ribbon Week, which encourages Americans to wear a red ribbon to show their support for a drug-free environment. Now, therefore, I, Michelle Morgan, Chairman of the Carroll County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim October 23rd to the 31st as Red Ribbon Week in Carroll County, Georgia, and urge all citizens to join me in this special observation. In witness thereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of Carroll County, Georgia, to be affixed to this proclamation on the 5th day of October 2021. And tonight we have some of our school resource officers and the K-9 team along with our sheriff. If you will come forward, please. So the commissioners and I tonight are wearing red in honor of all that you do to stop drugs in our schools and in our community. Commissioners, we're going to stand. And there again, you, the citizens of Carroll County, are getting a second opportunity to really thank those that look after us every single day.
Get on your box. Let me get her a box.
Thank you all, and please thank those dogs, even though they're not ones we would quite come close to petting, would we? Thank you very much. Thank you, Sheriff Langley. Now we will move into the zoning session. I'm going to call Janet Hyde, our county planner, to come forward to do 9.1 conditional use 59 Wildwood Drive.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. The first item that I have for you all tonight is a conditional use at 59 Wildwood Drive. It's C-21-09-01. It's a conditional use for a special events facility. This is parcel 149-0073. The owner applicant is Loretta Reagan. This is Commission District 3. Ms. Reagan is asking for conditional use to have a special event facility, to have weddings and parties, engagement parties, family outings, that sort of thing. Ms. Reagan does also have an Airbnb at her property. She has met all of the licensing requirements for the Airbnb, but now she is seeking to get the special event license as well. Staff is recommending approval of this application, and Planning Commission also recommending approval. And Ms. Reagan is present.
Right. The applicant, oh, you know what, I'm sorry, I forgot to read the rules because I don't have them. So anyway, do you have them? Thank you. I just realized my orange sheet of paper is not here. Thank you. I'm sorry. The policies and procedures governing the conduct of zoning hearings. The applicant or anyone speaking in favor of the application request shall be allowed a total of 10 minutes to present their request. Then anyone opposed to the request shall also have a total of 10 minutes to present their opposition. If there are multiple speakers for or against an application, please be mindful that not each person has 10 minutes. It's still 10 minutes total in favor and 10 minutes for opposed. Anyone speaking for or against the application, following after the 10 minutes, then there'll be time for anyone to speak for or against the application, another total of 5 minutes to speak in rebuttal. So I'm sorry, Ms. Reagan, if you'll come forward now.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commission. I am Loretta Reagan, and I live at 59 Wildwood in Temple. I have an alternative address at the same property, which is 386 East Davis Bridge Road in Villa Rica. And I'm here simply this evening to ask you to approve my request for a conditional use. When I bought this property 7 years ago, I was the owner of a successful business, and as has happened to so many businesses lately, well, it stood me in good stead for 16 years, but COVID came, there's losses of contracts and those sorts of things. And so what I'd originally planned to do with this property when I bought it was to use it as a venue in my retirement years as a supplement to my income. But things have changed, and I need it now, right now, to be approved as my major source of income. So I'm here to please ask you to approve this for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of your request?
I don't know if they're going to speak or
It's
not,
okay.
but I have others here to report.
Okay, so I guess we'll let the record reflect there's 3 people here. Four. 4 or 5. Okay, great. Thank you. If there's no one else here to speak in favor of it, is there anyone here to speak against it? I'll ask a second time, is there anyone here to speak against this application? Well, seeing and hearing none, we won't need the 5-minute rebuttal on either side. So, so Commissioners, before a motion is made, are there any questions for staff, for the applicant, or any comments to be made?
Ms. Hyde, if we so choose to move forward with approving this evening, would this be something that has fallen under the purview before, where it would be restricted just to the current owner for the conditional use?
That would certainly be up to you all. If you want to make that as part of your motion, you can do that. If you don't make it as part of your motion, then that use will pass on to the next owner.
Okay. Does staff have any recommendation, or you're leaving it neutral?
I'm leaving it neutral. You all have done some of these for one owner, and some have not had a restriction, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff, the applicant? Any comments from the Board of Commissioners? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I'll ask for a motion and a second, please.
I make a motion to approve. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion at this time? Well, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of passing the motion? Any opposed?
6-0 to approve.
Great. Thank you. Your application did pass. I'm going to call Janet Hyde again for 9.2, a rezoning of Highway 16 north of Whitesburg.
Yes, this is item Z-21-09-01 and C-21-09-02. This is a request for rezoning of 8.8 acres from agricultural to commercial and a conditional use for a storage facility. This has two addresses, 1623 and 1696 Highway 16 North, parcels 180-0024 and 180-0076. The owner and applicants are Mike and Donna Holder. This is Commission District 5. The holders are applying for a rezoning of one parcel and a conditional use for two parcels. This is for a storage facility. Storage facilities do require to be in commercial zoning with a conditional use. Staff is recommending denial of this application, and that's based on the future land use for that one parcel that has to be rezoned. Planning Commission also recommended denial of this, and the holders are present.
Okay, the applicants will come forward.
Commissioners and Associates, my name is Michael Holder. I really appreciate your position. I wouldn't do that position if you paid me lots of money. I'm sorry, I just wouldn't. But main reason for that is I'm retired service, retired Army, and you guys have to have a lot of patience for what you do, and I appreciate it. I really do. I would like to just say something real quick about Donna and myself. We came to Carroll County 23 years ago, actually 24 years ago, and we were looking for a place out of Cobb County. I was born and raised in Allsdale Road, Cobb County, if you know what that place is like. You can't even move over there now, but we happen to live near Kennesaw Mountain Park, so that helped a little bit. But we came out this way to look for a place for our kids, and somehow we stumbled on Banning Mills. And Banning Mills was pretty much in ruin at the time. It had been sitting for 26 years. The door's standing open for 25 years, believe it or not. Our Labrador loved it. He went in the building, he could hear animals running through the walls, and he absolutely loved it. But there was a lot of work to be done there, and we said this place needed to be preserved. So we started working on it, a building at a time, kudzu patch at a time, and we uncovered a lot of stuff that is very important for Carroll County. And it is a nonprofit that covers almost the entire gorge now. We have applied application for it to be a National Historic District that has been going on for 5 or 6 years now, and there's multiple sites inside of there that are very important for this county and the state of Georgia and the United States, things that happen there first that's going to bring a lot of recognition to the county itself. We have 150 plus employees. We run hard all year long. I feel like I work 25 hours a day. But we also need storage. And we work really hard on doing a lot of things, but we don't have a place to store things. So there's a piece of property that came associated with the first intersection that's outside of Whitesburg. Whitesburg city limit is right down the street, and it's the first intersection after that. The first parcel on the corner is already commercial or commercial use. The one right behind it is. And the one connected to that behind it is also on the right-hand side looking at it. Behind it, in front of it, across the road on 16, is commercial property that it's about 4 acres, and it has a huge warehouse on it. It's American Adventure Park Systems, who is actually our company that builds the zip lines and does work for people all over the world. We became known for the people who invented the zip line, and now we've created a monster all over the world. So you can blame us for that. When we first started this, we did try to do our due diligence. We worked with our commissioner and some of the local people who were concerned, the roads and planning, and we met with them on things that could be a problem, and they advised us that we need to move the entranceway from the Little New York side, which they considered dangerous, and they were right, to where the entranceway to the property is now. I totally agreed with them. Also on the left-hand side, one of the neighbors there needs a buffer, and we said that was a good idea to do 75 feet there instead of the standard 30. And as far as I know, that neighbor is still in agreement with that. Whitesburg is a growing area, and a lot of people who are not in that area, they don't understand how fast it's growing. Let me back up just a little bit. We've helped preserve thousands of acres in that area already that is preserved. And now we're looking at what the community needs to be served in that community. And this is an acute need, we think, that needs to be between Carrollton and Whitesburg. And there's nothing else other than a small group of storage buildings on the riverside of Whitesburg. And there's nothing else all the way to Noonan and nothing else all the way to Carrollton. We need something ourselves. There's a lot of houses being built around there now. But what I noticed about the houses, they have no basements. There's a lot of slab houses being built with no places to store things. So that is a problem. The little storage area that is there, I tried several times to rent space there, and I know a lot of people have not had any luck at all getting space rented there, and that's the BP station on the riverside down there. There's a long waiting list on renting space there. We feel it's a critical need. There is a precedent for ag to commercial storage. One of them is Little Vine area. You got the Little Vine storage area. It's not Clem, where is it? Hewlett, Sand Hill. And there's one over on 27 at the Deer Farm, the backside of Deer Farm, called Southside. And there's others too that are smaller that really aren't even on the map. This will be engineered. It's going to be on a state highway, so you have to have brick veneer on the front facing the highway, but it'll all have brick veneer to some point or stone. It'll be engineered completely through drainage, silt pond, silt control. The civil part of it will all be engineered, including the building layouts and anything that has to do with that. Lighting will be timed lighting, so after a certain time at night, say 9 or 10 o'clock, you'll have dim lights, or you'll have areas that only come on when there's motion, except for the entranceway. And you have to have an entranceway lit up so people can come in. If you don't have something lit up there, you really invite problems. And so we're going to have it to where it'll zone as you drive through. The lights will actually come on as you drive through. Unless my wife has something to add, that's almost it. This is my wife of 43 years, Donna. If it wasn't for Donna, I would be dead now, I'm sure.
I just wanted to say that we have been in the community for a long time, and we're not people are just going to build something and run off. And we care about Whitesburg. We want to make sure that it's going to look nice. This is a critical need in Whitesburg for the storage units, and I would just ask if you would consider that.
We're not going anywhere. We're here permanent. You wouldn't be able to run us out of Carroll County unless you burn us down, and that has happened one time. Largest fire in Carroll County history, and we rebuilt right there. And the county really jumped up and really helped us in that area, and we really appreciate that too. Thank you very much. Any questions? Sorry.
It's okay. How much time is left?
I cleared it about 2 minutes.
Okay, so is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? Anybody else here with you? It's okay. Okay, I'll ask again a second time. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? Okay, at this time, I'll ask, is there anyone here to speak against this application? Okay, so we'll have you all sit down for a few minutes and we'll... If you'll please state your name and address for us.
I'm Kenny Yancey, 1578 Highway 16 and 1600. I'm the one that owns the land beside it. So I'm the one that's going to sit there and look at the street lights. I'm the one that sits there in the morning, like well, I left a few at 5:30, sat in my driveway, 10 minutes to get out because of how bad the traffic is there. You got the railroad on this side, Little New York Road and the curve this side. I believe the property at one time had already been, tried to get a convenience store at one time and it was denied. And I believe somebody tried to put in another storage thing and it was denied. I don't have a problem with someone doing what he's trying to do. I've been here since I was born. I've got 11 uncles and aunts that live in Whitesburg, that live there. We own the land where Lake Seton was. My granddaddy owned everything from 16 to Wilson's Chapel at Cross Plains. So all of that land has kind of gone. Stillwater Plantation was my granddaddy's at one time. But this only affects me because I will be looking at all of that. I can hardly get out of the driveway without getting hit because of the curve there. I don't know why the state hadn't fixed that. I have no problem with the holders. I did agree to the 75-foot buffer. I just wish you would stop and think if it was you with two houses there that's going to have to sit there and look at this, because I believe a man should be able to do what he wants to do to make his living, but within reason. I've been there since 1980 at that place. Cut the timber, built the house myself, you know. But I wish you would stop and think about the danger from that railroad trestle to Little New York Road. So, and I don't know what it's planned of. I mean, I'm sure everybody's going to be able to rent it, but I don't want it to be at my cost of me sitting on my front porch that I built in 1980 and have to look at that. And there is a wet water spring at my driveway. So, you know, there's a big deal, and it runs into Acorn Creek all back in there, you know. I just wish you would consider some other things other than, you know, what other people need too. I understand that, but that is a dangerous place there, a dangerous place. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you. How much time is left?
7:14.
Okay, is there anyone else here to speak against this application? I'll ask a second time, is there anyone here to speak against this application? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will now go into the 5-minute rebuttal. So the holders, if the applicant would like to come back and speak.
Just real quick, we were concerned about the traffic also. If you're going to do something that is going to be improvement of the property, mini storage has the less impact on anything commercially that can happen to an area. It may be some cars going in and out of there. Some people go maybe once a month. Some people may go once a day. But it's not like a Burger King or a convenience store or something like that. It's very limited on the use during the day, especially during the high traffic parts of the day on 16. The stream there on that property is intermittent. If you're not familiar with intermittent, it means it runs with the water when it rains. And actually the well for that land is actually down in that part of the stream bed. And it may turn into more of a continuous down further, but when it gets hot, it goes away. So it's intermittent. Okay. Any questions?
Not yet.
Okay. All right.
How much time is left?
4 minutes.
Okay, would you like to speak?
Yeah, just real quickly. I just wanted to remind the board that directly across is the warehouse that we have, and then directly across from Mr. Yancey's house is Mr. Wage's warehouse as well. So there's already established commercial buildings there.
Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak in favor of this application during the 5-minute rebuttal? Is there anyone else here that would like to speak during the 5-minute rebuttal? Okay, seeing and hearing none, is there anyone who'd like to come and speak against this with a 5-minute rebuttal? I'll ask a second time, is there anyone else here that'd like to speak against this application during the 5-minute rebuttal? Okay, seeing and hearing none, commissioners, at this time, if you have any questions for the applicant or staff, or any comments to be made before the motion is made.
I'd just like to make a few comments. And first, a question for you, Janet. I guess on the Planning and Zoning Commission, from what I read, the Planning and Zoning was split in their decision. It was not a unanimous decision.
That's correct. The vote was, I'll tell you. It was 4-3 vote, didn't I?
Yeah. I do want to say planning and zoning is one of the more unsettling things that us commissioners have to deal with. I have spent a good bit of time with this particular application. One thing I'd like to mention is that I've heard complaints from Mr. Yancey. I've addressed those with the holders. The property is on a main corridor, State Highway 16. There are traffic considerations, undoubtedly. That's one reason that we decided to move the entrance after talking with our roads director from Little New York Road to State Highway 16, because coming in and out of Little New York Road would be a hazardous situation. So the state DOT will have to approve that entrance and exit. Whether or not they require acceleration, deceleration lanes will be up to the state DOT because it's a state highway, but the holders are subject to that, and they know that. I don't think state DOT would want a hazardous situation there, so I'm sure they will require what needs to be. It is just outside of Whitesburg city limits, probably within a half mile. There is commercial property at the corner, one piece that the holders already own. There's another piece of commercial property adjacent to it, and then there's also the commercial property across the street. There's also another older commercial property, I guess. It's zoned R4 residential now or something, where some daycare facility used to be. Anyway, there are 2 or 3 commercial properties right there at that corner, and one across the road. And when I brought the concerns of Mr. Yancey up to the applicant to see if he would agree to address those, he has agreed, as he stated, to address the concern of the adjacent property owner, and that is to require a 75 feet buffer, which is above the 30 feet that is required by our ordinance. And as far as the lighting, that was a concern of the only other constituent that I heard anything about on this property, that the lighting would be addressed, and as Mr. Holder said. So I would like to say that it seems like this is these concerns have been addressed. So that's all I'll say at this point, and leave it for other comments.
Ms. Hyde, you stated that staff had recommended denial based on the fact it did not meet the future land use map. Is that correct?
That is correct. The one parcel that they're asking to rezone to commercial. The future land use for that parcel is ag.
Okay. And I'm not asking you to make a comment on your approval of whatever the decision is with the board, but my question is, if the board decided to make a motion to approve, does staff feel that there's standards already in place that you could assure that the facility was built to the standards you would like to see, or is there anything that would need to be added in the motion to make staff feel comfortable that you had the ability to ensure that everything was built to standard?
Well, that corridor development plan is in place, which they would have to meet the requirements of that, which is the brick veneer, brick or rock on the front facing the road. The only other thing is if you did approve it, I would accept the 75-foot buffer that has been proposed, but I would also maybe ask that to be done on the other side as well, where the other neighbor had complained.
Thank you.
Well, I have a question concerning the lighting, and I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me talk about lighting, but this is along a state route. Don't we have some ordinances in place about how lighting is placed? What I'm concerned about is a lot of these places I ride by and the lights are shining out into the highway.
Mm-hmm.
Don't we have some sort of an ordinance that
We do have some ordinances about lighting.
that the lights have to be perpendicular to the ground?
Right, right. They can't be over so many foot candles bright. I can't remember the exact number, but we do address that in the ordinance.
Okay. And I have the warehouses that are across the street, do they have access onto Highway 16, or do they have other access points?
Gosh, I'm not sure.
Well, I'm trying.
Antioch Road, yeah.
Okay, so they don't access onto Highway 16?
No.
The
I
other
don't
two
think,
warehouses?
yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff, the applicant, or any comments?
So you're recommending a 75-foot buffer all the way around it?
If you all recommend
If
approval.
approved. That would have to be stipulated, right, in the motion?
It has not been stipulated.
I can't hear
It has not been stipulated, I'm sorry.
I have the recent email that I just got right before the meeting from the Donna Ward. Up until an hour before the meeting, I just knew about Mr. Yancey's concerns, which we've addressed, but she mentions nothing about a buffer, and there is a 30-foot required buffer, and I'm, as you all know, there's a target on my back with real estate agents and so on now, because I mean, of all the people up here, I'm not one for converting agriculture property to anything else, but the situation in this case is just the points that I've mentioned, particularly where the property is located and that there's commercial property already here. But back to the other constituent, the concerns that are mentioned is storage units will take away the beauty and the peacefulness. It'll devalue property. There'll be additional traffic and brightly lit storage facilities to attract customers and deter criminal activity. So, and I think we've addressed these things, and I would, in my motion, I would like to make 4 stipulations that would satisfy all the concerns that I believe have been brought up when we get to that point.
Any further questions for the staff or applicant? Any other comments from the board? Well, Seeing and hearing none, I will accept a motion and a second, please.
I would like to make a motion to approve the application, but with the following 4 stipulations. One, that the entrance and exit be on State Highway 16 in compliance with any Georgia Department of Transportation requirements. Number 2, that there be a 75-foot setback versus the required 30-foot setback on the property line shared with Mr. Yancey. Number 3, that it's graded so that the water runoff goes into the Highway 16 ditch and does not run into Mr. Yancey's property. And number 4, that the lighting is installed so that it does not affect or beam toward Mr. Yancey's property or the ward's property, any other neighboring properties, and I think that has already been addressed. So that's my motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Commissioner, I don't know if this is the appropriate time to bring this up. I can support this, but only if we amend to staff's recommendation, even though they're recommending denial, that they would like to see a 75-foot buffer on the additional property that Ms. Hyde mentioned, referenced. I would have to, that's the only way that I'll support the motion.
Could I clarify, are you talking about Mrs. Ward's property? Is that?
If Ms. Hyde can.
Okay. I will amend the motion to include that 75-foot then along the property line of Mr. Yancey and of the wards.
Any further discussion?
I think we need a second of that amendment.
No, Tommy seconded, I'm sorry. Tommy did second it. Okay. All right, so any further discussion? I have a motion by Commissioner Reynolds and a second by Commissioner Lee. All right, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? All those opposed?
Vote 5-1 to approve.
Okay. All right, thank you. We will now move on to rezoning of 9.3 Cove Drive and Pinecrest Drive in Temple.
That's withdrawn.
This application was withdrawn.
Okay, sorry. 9.4, which I guess is 9.3 now, the rezoning of East Highway 166, Carrollton.
Yes, this is item Z-21-09-03. This is a request for rezoning of 1 acre from ag to residential located at 2836 East Highway 166, parcel 154-0185. The owner is Johnny Blankenship, and this is Commission District 5. Mr. Blankenship is asking to rezone 1 acre of this parcel that's 25 acres currently, and 1 acre with an existing house so that he can separate out the house for some buyers that he has for that property and leave the rest of the property as ag. And Mr. Blankenship is present. Staff recommended approval of this. Planning Commission recommended denial.
Mr. Blankenship?
Y'all are 2 for 2 on approvals tonight, so we feel confident. Madam Chair and Commissioners, good evening. My name is Johnny Blankenship II. I reside here in Carroll County, and I'm here tonight representing the applicant, Mr. Johnny Blankenship Sr., who is also here. The reason for this zoning request is to allow for the parceling of a 1,300 square foot, all brick ranch home that was built on the property in 1978. The applicant would like to sell this ranch home to an interested family on a 1 acre parcel of land for a reasonable price. The home is positioned perfectly for this, as it sits at the far southwest corner of the larger 25 acre tract and is directly next to and in line with 10 homes sitting on roughly half-acre lots. To be clear, crystal clear, the remaining 24 acres are not at issue here tonight. The applicant has no plans of developing it, nor does he wish to change the current agricultural zoning. As Ms. Hyde stated, the staff recommended approval of this application for the reasons listed in their staff report in front of you. and we respectfully request your approval this evening. Thank you.
How much time is left? 9 minutes. Okay. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? I'll ask a second time. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this application? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move into the 10 minutes that someone can speak against this application. If you'll state your name and address, please.
My name is Jerry Latimer. I live at 2905 East Highway 166. I own the farm directly across from this 25 acres. My middle son owns farm next to me that's directly across from this 25 acres. My youngest son owns 100 acres next to me on the east side, on the west side, that's across the road from this property. This property was my great-grandfather's estate, all of it. It's been agricultural all these years. We would like all of it to stay in agricultural. You know, I just got through baling 400 bales, square bales of hay off of our property there in the last few weeks. We have cows that we run on part of our property. We would like for it to stay agricultural and not change it to residential. Thank you.
My name is Marilee Brown. I live at 20 Plum Drive. It's a subdivision next to this property. I need some clarification, please. When I came to the meeting last week, Mr. Blankenship Sr. said that he wanted to split out 1 acre of land to build a house, and the reason why he wanted 1 acre instead of 4 is because the people that wanted the house built could not afford 4 acres. And then when I come here tonight, it's not the same story as what I was told last week. What I was told last week is that they were looking at building a home, and now I'm told they want to annex an extra acre onto an existing home that already has an acre land with it that's been for sale since March. So I just need clarification.
Could I have Janet step over to the side and talk to her?
We don't answer questions. You can make comments.
Okay,
But the request is for 1 acre that has an existing house on it to rezone from ag to residential.
Because it was different last week's meeting, what was presented. So the concerns I have, which we've gone over with several other things, of course, is if you can annex 1 acre, can they change the entire 25 acres over into residential? And I was concerned about the type of building because last week it was my understanding that he was going to be building a house for someone. And so I actually looked up Mr. Blankenship's development because I wanted to see what kind of house that might be put out there. And there were no pictures of any houses, but there were a lot of reviews that I've gotten, and some of them are not up the best, and they range anywhere from 8 months ago to 5 months ago. The other thing I'm concerned about, like the rest of the people, is if they were to change from agriculture to residential, would we be made aware if more land is going to be changed during that time? Would we be announced, or is this just something, once you get 1 acre, you can go ahead and do the rest of the 24 acres without letting people in the area know? And of course, like what everybody else has said about the beauty of the land. I've lived there for 23 years. It's a quiet, safe neighborhood. Mr. Blankenship in Douglasville appears to deal with a lot of rental properties, and the last thing I wanted to worry about when I come home from work is the safety of my family, where I live. Right now, it is a safe area. It's a quiet area. We don't have a lot of crime. 166 is horrible as far as traffic. More houses being built out there. I imagine eventually it'll have to go to 4-lane because it is already such a horrendous just to go back and forth to work. It takes me 12 minutes to go to work in the morning at 6 a.m. It takes me 25 to 30 minutes to come home in the evening at 5. It's the same distance. I'm not taking a different route. So the things I'm concerned about is I don't want 166 to appear like Highway 5 in Douglasville, where it's one neighborhood after a neighborhood after a neighborhood. I'd like us to be judicial in our choices that we make as far as developing our land. Agriculture is important. 1% of America feeds the other 99% through agriculture. So, and once that land's gone, it's gone. You can't take it back. Thank you.
Me again.
Nancy Fisher, Highway 2692, East Highway 166. You have the map there in front of you. Questions, points, potential. My concern with the rezoning of that 1 acre. Last week, the gentleman said that he could not find a buyer, or he had a buyer but could not afford the 4 acres. It's quite a lovely brick home. There's plenty of buyers. Number 2, my concern is potential pursuit of further division of all of that 25-acre property, which is right adjacent to our property. It seems highly unlikely to me that a developer would randomly purchase a 25-acre tract of land and not have any plans for it, as he stated last week. It seems highly strange to me that a developer would then petition to rezone a 1-acre chunk of 25 acres with still no plans to develop that 25-acre tract of land. So those are our concerns. I don't want, I mean, we love it where we live. It's the country. It's our dream home. It's 6 acres of beauty right up against a 25-acre. Don't want subdivision living. That's kind of about the gist of it, I think. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
How much time is left?
4:16.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak against this application? I'll ask a second time. Is there anyone here to speak against this application? Well, seeing and hearing none, we'll move into the 5-minute rebuttal so the applicant can come back and speak up to 5 minutes if they would like.
Yeah, Commissioners, I think we feel like there's a little bit of a misinformation. Zero intent to build. That was not the story from my understanding last week. There are going to be no new homes built. Like I said, originally we're here for a 1-acre zoning on the existing 1978 home so that we can get it sold to a deserving family. That's all.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application during the rebuttal time? All right, seeing and hearing none, we have 5 minutes that if anyone would like to speak again against this application.
Again, Nancy Fisher again at your service. I actually called when that property first went on the market. I thought it was the 25-acre because we wanted to make an offer, but it ended up being just the house. And the agent that returned my call said it was a house on a 1-acre property. So I'm a little confused. It seems a little disingenuous. That was all the way back in March when I called, and she responded to my call and left me a message that it was a 1-acre house. It was a thus and such a price, which was, you know, not far from the original 25-acre tract of land. So I just have to question. So thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in rebuttal against the application? If you'll state your name and address again for us.
My name is Tony Diercole, and I live at 57 Old Ward Road. And I don't know anything what's going on here, but my only comment is that the county put together a land use plan in 2018, and I would expect the commissioners to follow that land use plan. And this piece of property, I think, should remain agricultural.
Diane, how much time do we have left? 3:30. Okay, is there anyone else here who'd like to speak against this application? I'll ask a second time, is there anyone here who'd like to speak against this application? Well, seeing and hearing none, Commissioners, do you have any questions for staff, the applicant, or any comments at this time?
I have a question for the applicant, just for clarification. So, as far as the splitting out of the house with 1 acre, what is the reason for splitting out that house in 1 acre, which is already on the property as part of the 25-acre tract?
Sure, so your question is, what is the reason for splitting it out from 1 to 4, or from 4 to 1 is what you're asking,
Right.
correct? Yeah, so, like it says, 1978, 1,300 square foot brick ranch. We do have people interested in buying the home, and at a lower price point than what it would be if we had to sell it with 4 acres.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay.
Are you going to attach the 1 acre to the existing acre that the house is sitting on? It'll be a house and 2 acres. That's what this is sounding like.
No.
Okay, well, then I'm confused.
That
There's a house sitting there already.
Yes, sir, it was built in
Okay,
1978.
on 25 acres.
That's correct, yes, sir, on the
Okay.
far
All right, now we
southwest
got it.
corner.
All right, you just want to cut out, you want a variance to cut out 1 acre for that
That's
house.
correct, that the house is sitting on, yes, sir.
Okay. And you're not going to come back in 6 months and want to do it again, right?
No, sir, that's not the intent here at all, no, sir.
Okay.
Sir, when you state it's not your intent, would you be willing to go on the record and say that's not something that you would be coming back before us, regardless of whether we would approve it or not, but intent versus that you will not be doing that?
I'd have to speak to the applicant. We don't have any problem with that, Commissioner, no. No.
Well, I'm, as y'all ought to know by now, by the radio and the newspaper and all this, all for preserving agricultural land. And I have gone to great lengths to do that and raise a lot of concerns in the community, as you've just heard tonight and last month, about preserving agricultural land. And I don't want to promote subdivisions or anything. And so as far as this particular application, so here is my understanding to ease some concerns of what I've heard. This is a 25-acre piece of property. There is a house in one corner of it that is bordered by Sugar Bush subdivision. That's one property line. And you are wanting 1 acre adjoining that in that corner. Actually, I guess it would look to me like another house in Sugar Bush. Is that correct?
If that's in the form of a question, that is correct, Commissioner, yes.
Okay. So, rest assured, I am certainly not for putting 24 1-acre subdivisions, and I would not be for that at all. I am not at all for doing subdivisions there, and am very much agriculturally minded, so I very much agree with the Latimers and their concerns. And in fact, where I live, they baled 75 acres of round bales on my front pasture and probably 75 acres in the back pastures. I'm right with you there. But we're not at all talking about the 25-acre piece, and I would not at all be in favor of putting residential lots or whatever there. This is just for that 1 acre corner where the house already exists. So that's all we're ruling on here. And if we did not rezone it, then he would have to gobble up 4 acres of the rest of the property, which is one of the things with our current zoning, that it gobbles up 4 acres at a time of agricultural property. So what we're doing here is actually, in my mind, preserving 3 acres so that we don't sell 3 more acres, and we can only sell 1 acre with the house, which preserves the other 24 acres of the existing piece of property. Since that is right next to Sugar Bush, the driveway is already there to the house. There isn't any additional traffic concerns, and it's not like we're even approving a new house or structure, since it's already there. So those are my comments, and I'll save things for a motion.
Any more questions from the board for staff or the applicant, or any more comments at this time? Well, seeing and hearing none, I'll ask for a
Mr.
motion in a second,
Latimer.
please.
Mr. Latimer raised his hand.
But the audience, the citizens are not, I'm sorry, this is the board's question time. Y'all had your 5 and 10 minutes earlier, so at this time it is, does the board have any further questions for the applicant or staff, or any other comments? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I'll ask for a motion in a second, please.
I make a motion to approve the application for the 1 acre and the existing house to be rezoned.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion at this time? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor? All those opposed?
Motion passes 4-2.
Okay, great. Thank you. At this time, we'll now move into the consent agenda. All items under this action were discussed at the May 27th, 2021 work session and will be presented for consideration as one single item, and only one vote will be taken. So 10.1 is a request for transfer of funds for publishing and advertising. 10.2 is a Carrollton, Georgia Outdoors Stewardship Program grant. 10.3 is magistrate court software. 11.1 was a West Georgia Technical College approval letter. 11.2 is agricultural conservation easement, STANA application. 11.3 is the Streetlight Special Tax District for Harlan Trace Phase 4. 11.4 is the Board of Assessors Personal Property Audit Service. And 11.5 is the Whitesburg Intergovernmental Agreement. Do I have a motion and a second to approve these items?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed?
Motion approved 6-0.
Great. Do I have a motion to adjourn in a second?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.